Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go through how to create this. Many artists are intimidated by animations, especially animating larger sprites. And in this video we'll go through how to start animating with no experience. If you're new here, hi, my name is Moss. I'm a solo developer on a game called Duck Norris Tales, where you play as a duck saving the world from an alien invasion. Animation is a way of making pictures look like they're moving. It works by showing a series of images really fast, where each image is called a frame. It's kind of like a flipbook. When you watch these frames quickly, it tricks your eye into seeing movement, just like in the movies. Movies usually show 24 frames per second, and this is called FPS. And the higher the FPS, the smoother the animation looks. But creating 24 frames for every second can be a lot of work, and it will cost a lot of money. So many cartoons opt in to use fewer frames. And you don't always need to show super smooth movement to tell a good story. And that being said, let's just do something very simple. I just want to show a dust particle flying from one side to the other. So I just went to Sprite and I created a new project and I added 3 different layers. First one is the background, the second one is kind of like the tiles, and the third one is the character. And basically I want to create just a dust particle that is going from this side to this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer right underneath, and I'm just going to select a yellow color, for example. One thing that I see a lot of people doing is like they try to animate without having any guidelines, and that could cause a lot of issues. So one way to do it is like if you wanted to create something without a guideline is to have the onion skin turned on. And basically what it does is, let's just say I just start adding 4 different frames. So on the first frame I want to do something like this. When I go to the next frame, you can see underneath it, you see like a trace of what is the previous frame looks like. And then when I draw something like this, then go to the next frame, do this, next frame, do that. And then let's just turn this one back on. And then when you play it, it kind of looks like that. So that would be one way to do it, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to do something a little different. So I'm just gonna do something that is preset, where you don't need to really worry too much, especially if you're a beginner, you don't want to complicate things too much. So basically I'm just gonna do something like this, okay? And basically that would be kind of like our frame of reference. We're gonna always use that to draw the next point. So I'm just gonna create a new layer on top. So this one I'm gonna call it reference, and this one I'm gonna call dust. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create like 16 frames. Okay, you can do it by pressing Alt N or right click and then click new frame. So I'm just gonna do 16 frames, and we're gonna start drawing by just maybe I'm gonna select different colors just for the sake of this video to make it easier. And on each frame I'm gonna draw like a line. Okay, just do something small. And I'm using the arrow buttons to move between frames. This is probably the fastest way you can do it. Okay, we didn't even use the 16th frame, but we're gonna keep it there for now. So let's just press play and animate it. Okay, now let's remove the reference and play by itself. Not bad. So this would be the very first step of creating an animation in Sprite. But let's just say if you wanted to create something that has a little bit more character. Now we're gonna zoom in a little bit. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to kind of taper off the end and create like kind of a trail. So I'm just gonna do something like this. Now let's replay that. So you kind of give it a little bit of a character. So now that you know the basics of creating an animation in Sprites, now let's take it one step further. So you might think like, how do you actually take it one step further and have a bigger sprite? So let's just take a step back, okay? And I'm going to create like a very new canvas, and I'm gonna do it at 80 by 40. So it's very, very small. Basically what I'm trying to portray here is like how you can create something small and then exponentially blow it up to make it something that you can actually use it. And that's kind of like a quick hack for anyone who's intimidated about creating bigger sprites. I'm going to create the same 3 layers again. So I'm going to have this as the background, and I'm going to create a new layer. So this will be like the tile set, and I'm going to create another one. So that would be the sprite. So that's all kind of to keep stuff in perspective. And let's do the same thing, but this time we're going to do something a little bit different. So instead of drawing something as small as a dust, we're just going to take it a little bit, we're going to make it a little bit bigger, okay? First of all, I'm just going to do 16 frames again. For this one, we're going to turn on the onion skin. Let's remove the background, okay? And let's just go ahead and create something like this. Okay. And what we're going to do is just going to try and imitate that same thing, but we're going to do it this way. Okay. And basically, because it's a worm, I want it to be a little bit continuous. So we can do it this way. Because it's a worm, it has to taper out at the end. And I'm going to make it come back from this side. I'm going to make it have like a little bit of swooping effect. So it's kind of like a big kind of snake. Okay. So basically we kind of recreated that whole scene in a very, very small sprite. And what I'm going to do is just for a demonstration, I'm going to add like a shading effect to it. This very small effect kind of sells the idea that the thing is moving from head to tail kind of thing. So basically that's like on a high level how you would do something on a very small scale. But here's the trick. If you go into sprite and go into sprite size, and let's just say I wanted to blow it up by 1000%, so I'm going to just do it like that, and all it does is you're just going to go ahead and create that as, let's say, 800 by 400, and now I have this whole thing to work with. Since I have a bigger sprite and I wanted to have a little bit more detail, and this allows me to go ahead and refine it. So even though the edges are jagged, but I can fill in the blanks, or I can use that as a reference just like what we did before. So I can just draw a new layer and create something on top where I can actually use that to create my next creation, and I can go ahead with that. Now I'm gonna go switch to the recording of how I drew the final sprite. So this boss, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to have like a grand entrance just like you see in all of the other video games, and I wanted to give it this alien vibe. What really helps is that I already had that design from before. You can find it in my channel, and I just wanted to just create a little bit more animation frames into the sprite. And basically that's why you already see like I have a frame of reference where I'm working with, and I wanted to keep it very, very close to the original sprite. Obviously, because you're animating, you don't want anything to look very different. So it really helps to keep everything very close, and especially because for specifically this scene, I'm doing everything kind of fast, so I don't need to spend too much detail into how everything looks. As long as it looks close enough, when it moves, it's going to look great. And one of the things to do, especially with moving animation, just add a little bit like ridges, kind of like dots, and have this swoop motion to make it look like it's actually moving pretty quick. And this is how the final design looks like in the game. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far and you're interested in optimizing things and becoming better, I've created a new Discord server for like-minded people who wants to take this journey to the next level, and you can find it in the links below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and a comment. It will really help me with the algorithm and help the channel grow. If you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy this video as well. Thank you so much, and remember, just take it one day at a time, and I'll see you in the next video.